The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, for an effortless finish to your day. New Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
This is News Talk.
Yeah, you're very welcome along to Thursday Nights Off the Ball. It's Richie McCormack here with you right through until 10 p.m. tonight. A busy old show on the way. We'll look ahead to the start of the Women's Six Nations. With the Six Nations show, we're going to be joined by Fiona Hayes and indeed the recently retired Ireland captain Ciara Griffin to get their insights on what the tournament will have in store for Ireland, who are the potential winners, and indeed who are the players to look out for from all six corners this coming weekend. We'll zero in on Saturday's friendly with Belgium. We'll be talking to Dion Fanning on the football show to look ahead specifically to the game. We'll also get the views of John Giles, as ever, it being a Thursday. That's coming up just after 7:30. And also on tonight's football show, we'll have Rory Higgins, the Derry City manager, on the line to talk about their fine start to the season, their expectations for the rest of it, and indeed his insight from working alongside one Stephen Kenny. You can get in contact with us tonight by tweeting us at Off the Ball. You can give us a text 53106 as well for 30 cent. I'm delighted to say joining us in studio for the Newsround is Cathal Mullaney. Cathal, you're welcome.
Hey Richie, how are you?
It feels weird to be in a studio with like somebody else.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm
It's
still
nice.
getting used to these things, and walking around without a mask in the office. It's wild stuff.
Yeah.
Wild stuff altogether. And keeping his distance at arm's length at home in his newly appointed fancy studio as well, we should mention there is one and only Joe Molloy. Joe, good evening to you.
Richard, hello.
The sound quality from there and the rich baritone coming from that microphone, Joe, is just, it's impressive. It's impressive.
Feast on it, Richie. Turn up that volume in your ears.
Oh, that's good. There's a rich tone to that. That like Jeff Emmerich, the Beatles engineer, would be like pining for stuff like that. That's magnificent. I see the Golf Weekly money is being well spent anyway.
Oh, well, indeed. Golf Weekly, you know. Putting the kids through college.
That's the thing they say about decent sides, Joe. They take the money they have earned and they reinvest it in the product, and it's nice to see that you're doing that. That, like, where do you even go shopping for that egg cartony stuff you've got behind you?
Amazon.
Do you really? Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Relatively cheap as well, and has done wonders for the old Echo in here. Echo.
It's paying off, Joe. It's paying off. Speaking of Golf Weekly, I was keeping tabs on Seamus Power's progress last night. We've talked kind of in fits and starts about Seamus Power on the show and how he's possibly Ireland's most underrated sports star, and this week he's looking to hang on to his top 50 placing in the world, and he's going great guns about doing that because he beat Sung Jae Im last night pretty handily, 5-4. He's at the moment leading, he's 2 up on the world number 4 Patrick Cantlay at the WGC match play, and it's not looking as if he might hold his top 50 place. We're going to see Seamus Power playing his first Masters in a couple of weeks time, but it's going to be one of these Masters in flux because the cloud of Saudi is still hanging over all of this. So while we are going to see someone like Seamus Power, Big Phil is not going to be in the mix. That news broke earlier on the week that he's no longer in the field for Augusta 2022, which will be he's part of the fixtures and fittings there at this stage. So to not have him there and to have that cloud hanging over things is going to be interesting.
First time in 28 years now, Phil.
My
at Augusta.
God.
Isn't that extraordinary? 28 years. And he's a 3-time winner. So obviously, I'm sure up until a few weeks back, his every intention was that he would be there for the next 28 as well, because the champions obviously are more than welcomed back each and every year. So no Phil is the word. It's interesting. Nobody is quite sure if this is a suspension or not, because the PGA Tour, and I know the Masters is separate in a sense to the PGA Tour, but the PGA Tour never announced if anybody is suspended or not. Dustin Johnson, a number of years ago, was suspended, but it wasn't revealed at the time. It only emerged subsequently. So nobody quite knows at the moment if Phil is suspended or if, as he said in a statement, he's taking some time away from the game. Now, I find it hard to believe that Phil Mickelson would pass up one of his last 1, 2, 3 tops remaining chances of being very competitive at Augusta. I find that very hard to imagine. Some have said, well, he doesn't want the whole week to be about him and dominate the press conferences and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think Phil could live with that. I don't think he's
not somebody who shies away from the spotlight anyway.
No. I don't think he's so reverential about Augusta that he would feel, it's unbecoming for the tournament week to be dominated by me. So I'm increasingly starting to wonder if the PGA Tour have suspended him and if maybe the powers that be at Augusta followed suit and just let it be known to Phil that maybe this year wouldn't be the worst year for you to pause and take some time out. The other possibility, of course, is that the Live Golf people, this is Greg Norman and the Saudis, they launched a summer series last week. So 8 tournaments, each one with $20 million on offer. And this is really interesting because what they have done is sent out 250 invites to all of the world's best players. So
even the ones that have said no.
Yeah, letter in the door. These are our 8 events. We would love to have you there. Each one 20 million on offer, only a 54-hole event. 3 of them go up against directly PGA Tour events. Some of them don't. None of them against majors. So there is the distinct possibility that at the first one in June in London, Phil Mickelson may be there waving the flag as the big star. And maybe this is known within the game and therefore they certainly don't want him at the Masters or at any PGA Tour event. Phil hasn't really commented on anything since he had his statement after the quote-unquote off-the-record comments went viral. So we don't really know what Phil's doing. In his statement, he said, look, I'm going to take some time away. The stresses are getting to me. I've let some people down here. But behind the scenes, is he genuinely taking some time away and reflecting? Or is he suspended? Or is he very much acting in the knowledge that he'll be pitching up at these 8 Saudi-funded events from June? None of us quite know the answer. We certainly know that he won't be at Augusta. The only current question mark everyone's wondering is, will Tiger be at Augusta? Because they haven't ruled it out yet, officially anyway.
Come on now. Surely that's not going to happen.
Well, you would think it would be all kinds of wrong for Tiger to turn up and play this course of all courses. But he hasn't appeared on the list of... They have a list where Phil appeared of former champions not appearing. The thing about Augusta, I don't know if you know this, Rich, it's a very hilly course. It's more hilly than it looks on the TV. I don't know if you've ever
I've seen that on
heard
TV.
that before.
Yeah.
So what Tiger himself says is that hitting golf balls isn't really the issue. The issue for him is actually walking, and walking 4 days straight at that. So of all the courses you could imagine him pitching up at, Augusta, I suspect, would have his knee surgeon's head in his hands the most. And therefore people have said, well, maybe St Andrews, the 150th anniversary of the first British Open at St Andrews, not such a demanding walk. That would be the more likely candidate. But look, who knows? I mean, you kind of give up writing the man off or saying it's impossible because he's proven us wrong a gazillion times over the last 20 years. But they are put it this way, Peter Lowry, and this is classic Peter Lowry, by the way. This is classic Peter Lowry.
Go on.
Talk about burying the lead. We've talked for like an hour and 15 minutes on Golf Weekly. I literally say to Fionn and Peter to say, by the way, any other business? And Peter's like, I've heard from a few people Tiger might be going at Augusta. Like, what?
Who are these people?
Why would you not mention this in the first minute? So I don't know who these people are. He wouldn't reveal his sources, but I suspect he has some contacts in the world of golf. So look, there's a brewing sense. Could he? He might. Yeah. He can rule himself out. Why wouldn't he just rule himself out?
I have this wonderful image of Tiger Woods almost in a kind of tip to James Brown, like hobbling towards the first tee at Augusta with like his minder beside him with like a towel around his neck. Just say, Tiger, don't. You can't do this. You can't do this. And Tiger's like shouting, I can't go on. And then he gets to the first tee and he hears that roar. He shrugs off everything and all of a sudden it's just imbued with the love of the crowd and the sense of occasion. He's fine. It's a miracle. He can walk again. He can do it. And drives 300 yards off the first tee and everything's hunky-dory. That's that sense of show, I think, is within Tiger. And I think something like that could probably happen.
Don't tease me. See, at the father and son, which is the only event he played just before Christmas, they were allowed to drive carts around. So all he had to do was hit
huge
shots.
Difference, yeah.
So that was no test.
Do you know why Peter Lowry did do that, Joe?
Go on.
He's a man conscious of runtime. So if he had mentioned that at the top of the show, that hour and 15 would have turned into an epic. He would have been talking Ben-Hur type of levels of production there.
Look, the man respects a running order. I applaud that.
So does Colin Mullaney, and the Gillette. The Newsround is brought to you thanks to Gillette for an effortless finish to your day. As we mentioned, we're going to be talking to Fiona Hayes and Ciara Griffin about this, but the first team of the Greg McWilliams era is with us, Cathal, ahead of the Six Nations.
Yeah, certainly is. Aoibhinn Riley will make her Ireland debut in Saturday's opening Six Nations game against Wales at the RDS. Riley has been named to start at scrum half, while forwards Christy Haney and Anna McGann are set for first test caps off the bench. Nicola Friday will captain the side from the second row in what is Ireland's first match under new head coach Greg McWilliams, as you say. But winger Baveen Parsons only makes the bench for the game. Dorothy Wall returns from injury to take her place in the back row, and she says the atmosphere in the squad is good ahead of the tournament.
I think we're trying to get the best out of ourselves. It's a very positive team environment at the moment. We're ticking our boxes. There's a great sense of camaraderie. I'm really enjoying myself. I think the whole team is, and it feels like a new chapter for women's rugby. And I think the other thing is, like, we have absolutely nothing to lose, and that's really dangerous in a team, if you ask me.
Joe, we recorded the Six Nations show a little bit later on, without wanting to give away too many spoilers, and peeks behind the curtain with Ciara Griffin, and we were just kind of talking about, and Fiona Hayes, we should mention as well, but everything seems to be a little bit more settled, and I don't know if that's a case of the report being out of the way and this being a clean slate and there being a new head coach, and Greg McWilliams kind of knows the territory. He's been around the squad before and he knows how to bring the best out of them, but there seems less of a sense of, worrying about what's next, and more of a sense of calm going into this Six Nations than we've probably seen from an Ireland team in the last 2-3 years or so. I know you're going to be involved in Saturday's game, but that's the sense that I guess I get from the outside looking in.
Yeah, me too. I don't think we've had the full picture last year behind the scenes. I think it's notable even that Dorothy Walls made a point of saying we're a happy squad this year. I'm not sure what was going on last year, but the performance has dipped so much. Just have a suspicion all was not well for a variety of reasons. And I think Greg McWilliams coming in, new coach, new voice, even things like telling, somebody like Lucy Mulhall and various other Sevens players, if you want to be a part of this squad, then you need to go and play AIL. So for instance, last year, because of COVID as well, we must stress. So I think Adam Griggs, the former coach, was very unlucky, and I think he had Sevens players being swapped in last minute, and it was probably a difficult time for anyone to be head coach, in fairness to Adam Griggs. But McWilliams has come in and he's sent a memo to all AIL players to say, I'm watching you. He has looked at women's rugby across the board and decided that one of the areas Ireland need to improve massively on is ball and play time. He wants to get up to as much as 35, 36 minutes per game. And the likes of Lucy Mulhall and others have played AIL matches. And that's very important because Sevens is not 15s. And you look at Dorothy Wall there, for instance, and she is Players Player of the Year from last year and Young Player of the Year from last year, 21 years of age from Tipperary. She only made her debut for her club recently, this year, Blackrock College. Now, that's because she went in through Sevens and then got drafted into 15s, but has not played enough 15s rugby, and decision-making comes into it, and she's astonishingly good and one of our best players going forward, hopefully. So I think McWilliams getting the Sevens players to go off and play AIL, I think more games for all the players means they arrive into this tournament feeling much better about their own individual form, and they feel like in McWilliams they have a coach who has got a real track record, part of the coaching ticket in 13 when they won the Grand Slam and World Cup semi-final, and they've been in camp the last number of weeks, and that seems to have gone very well. Plus the enthusiasm, I suspect, which surrounds the game. The first time a proper title sponsor in a heavyweight company like TikTok, their own standalone window. They should get very good TV figures. It's free on terrestrial television. They're going to play this game at the RDS. They'll play against Italy in Musgrave Park. They'll play against the Scots up in Belfast at Kingspan. And so the home games around the country and hopefully capturing the imagination. So I do agree with you. Just all the mood music, everything around it is much, much better. And let's see what happens, because the interesting thing with Wales is they now have handed out 12 full-time contracts over the last year and 15 part-time ones. Ireland beat Wales 45-0 away last year. So let's see to what extent those full-time contracts in Wales have closed the gap. So it's a lot of ingredients here which make Saturday very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be good. That coming up, by the way, just after 8 o'clock, Fiona Hayes and Ciara Griffin. But a surprising addition, I guess, to the Republic of Ireland squad today.
Yeah, that's right, Richie. Goalkeeper Max O'Leary has been called into the squad. The Bristol City shot star replaces Gavin Bazuna, who's been ruled out due to illness. Ireland, of course, continuing their preparations for the friendly with Belgium on Saturday. And speaking today, defender Shane Duffy says Ireland are well stocked in the goalkeeping department.
Even the two lads come in now, they've got a chance, and everyone needs a bit of luck, and that's what they've got. So they're in the squad, and we trust them as well. But I said Queeve's in a good position now where he needed a bit of luck. Gavin's performed unbelievable for us, and he's going to be a miss. But as I said, in football, it's about taking their chances now, and Queeve will come in and hopefully and does what he does for Liverpool, really. So as I said, we're a bit lucky in that position.
Yeah, Joe, we'll be looking ahead to this one with Dion Fanning on the football show, obviously with John Giles as well after 7:30. But, you know, the closer we get to this game, there's a lot of players falling away. I mean, we're not even factoring in the fact that the likes of Adam Ida and Andrew Amabamadeli weren't in contention because they're long-term injuries or longer-term injuries than we would like them to be at the moment. We talk about Belgium missing players who've more than 50 caps going into this match. We're missing a fair few players ourselves. I don't know how you're feeling about this one on Saturday.
Yeah, do you know, certainly there were periods last year where the friendlies were taking on undue importance because of the precarious position Stephen Kenny was increasingly finding himself in. We were building up to friendlies saying, does Stephen Kenny need to win this friendly? I feel like they're now back to being just friendlies. And so once Ireland aren't at the hands of a pumping and do okay, I don't think we're going to be sitting here on Sunday going, well, look, we lost 2-3-1 to Belgium, or, you know, Belgium, one of the best sides in the world, even if they were missing some of their players. It's not good. I just think, I don't know about you, that's how I see it as back being sort of a friendly again, as opposed to like another referendum on Stephen Kenny where we all have to spend 24 hours talking about whether or not he's the right man for the job.
Yeah, it almost feels like a shot to nothing call this one on Saturday. Like, it's kind of like, if we have a good performance, brilliant. If we lose, what of it? They're the number one team in the world and they've got depths that we can't even imaginably have at the moment. So I guess just the Lithuania thing is probably the referendum one, if there is one, to see how we get on.
I would agree. It definitely is a shot to nothing. Big crowd expected as well. I think the ticket sales are going really well. So obviously people getting behind Stephen Kenny and the team. Given the contract situation now and everything, it probably is a shot to nothing. Probably just a chance to get game time into fellas against a big team at home in front of a full Aviva Stadium. Experience for a lot of guys again, and I suppose to build on the general air of optimism that there has been over the last couple of months, if we could pull some sort of a result or at least a decent performance, as Joe says, that'd be another step in the right direction, you would feel.
Yeah, fingers
and
crossed.
I think as well, Carl, you know, for so many of the other friendlies, it was like, well, what formation are we playing? What's our identity? What, you know, who plays where? Well, I feel like we've figured out a lot of that stuff, or Kenny's figured out a lot of that stuff. We know the shape of the team now. We've settled on all that stuff. So again, that, you know, the 48 hours of non-stop analysis is kind of less essential, although tune into Off the Ball from 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, full 6 hours of a show, I believe, on Sunday of picking through the bones. It's a case, I guess, of what might have been for Ireland. This is where we have to look on enviously now for the next 3 hours because there are World Cup playoffs. We're at the business end now, called ahead of the draw next week.
Yeah, certainly are some interesting games coming up tonight for the game. Teams in the World Cup playoff semi-finals. Wales chief among them. They have the chance to take another step towards the first tournament since 1958. This evening they take on Austria in their playoff semi-final. That game taking place at the Cardiff City Stadium this evening from 7:45. And Gareth Bale, speaking ahead of that match, has said that there will of course be nerves in the Welsh dressing room.
No, I'm very excited for the game. Obviously, come kick off, of course, there's going to be a little bit of nerves. It means so much to us to play for Wales for one, and yeah, such a big game it would be. If you didn't have nerves, then yeah, you probably shouldn't even be playing. So no, there's going to be nerves in everybody for sure, and it's just about how you manage them nerves and turn them into positives. And yeah, I've got enough experience to know how to do that. So yeah, just excited now for the game to get underway and hopefully put in a good performance and get a good result.
Tricky one for Portugal tonight, Cathal.
Yeah, they take on Turkey, Italy against North Macedonia, and Sweden against the Czech Republic. The winners of that one will win the right to face Poland. All of the games this evening underway from 7:45.
And as we mentioned, Seamus Power doing pretty well over in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and he's done really, really well in the last few minutes because he's gone 3 up now through 10 holes. That's against the world number 4, Patrick Cantlay. Power, of course, winning his first match yesterday, so on course there to reach the knockout phase, and that should and will secure his place in the Masters, you would think, at the end of this month. Needs to be in the top 50. He's currently 48th in the world. Shane Lowry is also out on course. He's 1 up through 5 holes against Eric Van Rooyen, and that's in their group match. Lowry lost his first game yesterday. On the LPGA Tour, things going well for Leona Maguire. She's 4 under par. That's through 15 holes of her opening round at the JTBC Classic. That is in California. Amy LeBlanc is the leader there. She's on 6 under par through 13. And Graham McDowell is currently out on course as well at the Corales Championship. He is 3 under par through 12 holes. The leader there, Ben Martin, on 6 under par.
Joe, quickly, this would be quite something for Seamus Power if he pulls off this victory this evening.
Amazing. This time last year he was somewhere between 300 and 400 in the world. So what he's done over the last 12 months is really extraordinary. He's now very comfortable on the PGA Tour. Has been a threat at a number of events, and to see him at the Masters would just be fantastic for him. And slowly but surely, I think the wider sporting public are kind of catching up on what he's doing.
Joe, thanks a million for joining us this evening.
All right, fellas, see ya.
That rich tone has been gratefully received, and Cathal as well. Yours hasn't been gone without notice either.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much. It is time for the cash machine.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's cash machine.
Yeah, and this is your chance to win some money. Oh no, 2 days in a row now we've had no answer. That's a pity for them, because it could be a blessing for you. There's more than 27,000